The Nebraska Cornhuskers and head coach Scott Frost are under NCAA investigation. So what's going on? Stay tuned, because we're talking about that. Earlier this morning, news broke that the Nebraska football team is under investigation by the NCAA. Now, I want to preface the beginning of this video with what I'm going to be saying in the next few minutes all comes from a 24/7 Sports article and talking about the report that was going on, and it's just the facts, not my opinion. Then I'll share my opinion on what may happen as a result of this at the end of this video. So stay tuned for that. According to Brett Murphy, head coach Scott Frost, along with a few other staff members, are under investigation for improper use of analysts and consultants during practice and games per McMurphy's report during the 2020 season. According to McMurphy, the acts were egregious and they took place during special teams drills at practice. According to McMurphy, Frost has obtained legal counsel and the NCAA has interviewed Frost, multiple current and former staff members, administration, football players regarding the allegations, sources said. The allegations date back 12 months. Also, last year, when the NCAA prohibited organized athletic activities during the pandemic, Nebraska relocated its strength workouts to an undisclosed off-campus location to avoid detection by the non-football school officials, sources said. The unauthorized organized workouts were held at the direction of Nebraska University's strength and conditioning staff, which was in direct violation of the NCAA rules. It is unknown if the NCAA is investigating these specific allegations, a source said. Among the possible NCAA penalties Nebraska could receive include Frost's suspension for an unknown number of games, an NCAA source said. Nebraska opens up the season at Illinois on Saturday, August 28th. 2 Nebraska staff members were let go within the last 8 months, those being Jonathan Rutledge, an analyst, and Chief of Staff Gerard Lambrecht, and it is unknown if their departures were due to these NCAA violations. When it comes to Scott Frost, things get even more interesting. Scott Frost is 12-20 and 9-17 in 3 seasons at his alma mater. The Huskers went 3-5 last year in a Big Ten only schedule and lost a lot of close games, which Scott Frost talked about at Big Ten Media Days. Scott Frost said, "There's been way too many close games, but we look back at those games, so it was a mistake here, it was a mistake there, turnovers, a play on special teams, a penalty at the wrong time. The teams that are winning basically don't make those mistakes. If you beat yourself in this league, you're not going to win, and we've had many of those self-inflicted wounds, and our kids are really attentive right now to try to do things that get that fixed. Having a veteran team and experience, I think, helps limit those mistakes. We haven't had an old team yet. This will probably be the most experienced team that we've had, so we're working together, coaching staff and players, to make sure those things don't happen." So going into the season, there was some hype and excitement around Nebraska. But that also doesn't mean that Scott Frost wasn't on the hot seat going in. According to CBS's Dennis Dodd, Frost was listed as the most interesting hot seat situation in college football in 2021. Dodd writes, "The Nebraska situation is fascinating to me right now. Even before Bill Moose had retired, and by the way, that was in no way, shape, or form a retirement, I just wondered what Nebraska was, what its brand. Does that average 18-year-old think of it? With Scott Frost a few years ago being the hip young coach who had the chops, who had the ability, who had the background, and it's just completely fallen on its face. 12-20 in his 3 years, I think. And going into year 4, what does that look like? When I suggest he was on the hot seat last year? Well, he just signed an extension, wait a minute. And even now, I have people telling me he just needs time. Well, if you just need that much time in college football these days, that's the school's problem. It's not the coach's problem, because you're probably waiting too long. So he has to go to a bowl game, at least, this year to turn things around. And they don't look like they have the personnel to have it. Now, the guy that hired him, Bill Moose, was escorted out with a nice $3 million severance package. You know, you don't give somebody that if he quits, which is what they're saying. He retired. You don't give him $3 million 5 days later. But so, now, the new AD, whoever he is, did not hire Scott Frost. And what does that look like, and what kind of pressure's on him? I think the first pressure point we'll see on that, I'd look very closely to see if the streak ends on Nebraska this year. They did not sell out for the spring game because of COVID. It was only half capacity, but they didn't fill it, and that would be a huge indicator. If they do not have a sellout this year the way things are going at Nebraska. The investigation is ongoing and no penalties as of Wednesday were handed down on the Cornhuskers program nor Frost. Now, what's my opinion on this? Well, as I've talked about Dodd's report, Scott Frost was kind of viewed on the hot seat. As someone who follows the Big Ten closely, Frost, when hired, was supposed to take Nebraska to the next level, but he has failed to do so, and he was already on the hot seat, and some Nebraska sources are already saying this could be the end of the Scott Frost era. Now, I don't know what's going on with the analysts. I don't know how something could be egregious or not egregious in that side of everything, but the really shocking thing to me was the fact that the team did off-campus workouts in an undisclosed area so no school official could find out about it. That was a major red flag when I first came across this story and why I wanted to make this video. I also wanted to inform y'all what was going on, as more information will come out over the next few days. These are just the initial reports. Now, does Scott Frost survive this? It's hard to say. Depending on the type of suspension, will these suspensions be handed down before the start of the season next weekend when Nebraska plays Illinois? Only time will tell. But with this going on, if the NCAA investigation does go into the season, which with the NCAA it's not too surprising if it does, and Scott Frost and Nebraska get off to a slow start, don't be surprised if Scott Frost is let go. And if it's proven to be true, these possible NCAA violations, then Nebraska could fire Frost with cause, meaning they don't need to pay out the rest of his salary. So this is going to be an interesting thing to follow over the next few weeks. But what do y'all think? What happens to Scott Frost and the Nebraska Cornhuskers? Let me know in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out some of my other videos right here. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, remember to embrace the grind.